In the early days of World War II, the atmosphere across Europe was heavy with uncertainty and fear. As the conflict erupted in 1939, Nazi officers felt an overwhelming sense of confidence. They believed they were invincible, bolstered by what they saw as superior military technology and innovative tactics. The German army, known as the Wehrmacht, was equipped with advanced weapons, including machine guns and tanks that had proven decisive in previous conflicts. The use of blitzkrieg, or lightning war, tactics was transformative. This strategy involved fast-moving and coordinated assaults using air support alongside ground troops. It allowed German forces to overwhelm their enemies quickly, often before they had a chance to respond effectively. The early successes of the Nazis seemed to confirm their belief in their superiority. As the war unfolded, the Axis powers, which included Germany, Italy, and Japan, swiftly gained territory in Europe. They encroached on neighboring countries, overpowering them with the sheer force of their military might. Nations like Poland fell rapidly, and the fall of France in the spring of 1940 shocked the world. Cities were captured, and millions were displaced as the conflict spread. Despite the advancements and victories, life for ordinary people in occupied territories changed drastically. Families found themselves living under oppressive regimes, with fears of repression hanging over them. Those who resisted or opposed the Nazis faced dire consequences, including arrest or worse. In this context, the early optimism of Nazi officers masked the suffering that the war was inflicting on countless civilians. While they reveled in their military successes and believed in their invincibility, the true impact of their actions was only beginning to unfold. The belief in their strength would soon be challenged, but for a fleeting moment, they looked upon Europe as theirs to command. However, by the mid-1940s, the situation on the battlefield began to shift. The Allies, primarily the Americans and the British, were not standing still. They started to develop and implement innovative strategies and weapons that would turn the tide of the war. One of the noteworthy advancements during this time was the introduction of the rocket-propelled grenade, RPG. Though its design was quite basic compared to the more advanced weaponry seen later, the RPG proved to be a game-changer. Soldiers on the front lines quickly adapted to using this weapon against German armored vehicles and fortified positions. It became a crucial tool in their fight against the seemingly relentless advance of the Nazis. As the Allies developed this new strategy, they began to coordinate their efforts more effectively. This involved combined operations that brought together air, land, and sea forces. For instance, during the D-Day invasion in June 1944, Allied forces executed a massive assault on German-occupied France. The use of advanced tactics and new weapons like the RPG contributed significantly to overcoming formidable defenses. These changes on the battlefield meant that the earlier confidence of Nazi officers started to wane. As more Allied troops pushed into occupied territories, the impact of new weaponry began to be felt. The Allies were no longer just defending. They were determined to take back control, reclaim territory, and ultimately defeat the Axis powers. This period marked a crucial turning point in World War II, showing that innovation and strategic planning could challenge even the most daunting of foes. The tide had begun to turn, and the belief in invincibility that the Nazis once held was starting to be replaced by the harsh reality of losses and setbacks. The rocket-propelled grenade, RPG, quickly became a game-changer on the battlefield. Its design allowed it to penetrate the armor of tanks, which were once thought to be nearly invulnerable. This new ability made the RPG a feared weapon among Nazi officers. As Allied soldiers began using it with increasing frequency, the impact on German forces became clear. Reports started pouring in about the effectiveness of RPGs. They were capable of taking out armored vehicles and disabling key positions that the Germans had fortified. This worried Nazi leaders deeply. They realized that their initial confidence had to be reassessed, as they were unprepared for such an attack coming from infantry. With significant casualties reported among their ranks, the Germans had to rethink their tactics. They could no longer rely solely on the power of their tanks and armored divisions without taking the threat of RPGs into account. This led to heightened alertness and changes in how they approached battles. For instance, they started to pay more attention to protecting their vehicles and modifying their strategies to counter this new threat. The battlefield atmosphere changed as well. German soldiers, who had once felt invincible behind their armor, began to fear these small yet powerful weapons. The presence of RPGs encouraged Allied forces and bolstered their morale. They felt they had a new tool to level the playing field against a foe that once seemed unbeatable. This shift not only influenced the way battles were fought, but also illustrated how innovation could reshape war. The RPG became a symbol of change, demonstrating that even the simplest ideas could have profound effects in combat. As the Allies gained momentum in the war, they knew they needed more than just advanced weapons to secure victory. They turned to espionage and deception, using intelligence operations to mislead the Nazis about their plans. This included creating false information about the timing and location of Allied attacks, making German forces vulnerable to unexpected strikes. One notable operation involved creating fake troop movements and using elaborate ruses to make it seem like the Allies were planning their assaults in one area while striking elsewhere. This kind of psychological warfare was incredibly effective. German commanders, unsure of the real intentions of the Allies, found it challenging to deploy their forces properly. As the Allies executed their attacks, they did so from multiple directions. This caught the Nazis off guard and made it much harder for them to mount an effective defense. The combination of new weapons like the RPG and clever deceptive tactics created a perfect storm for the Axis powers. They were under constant pressure, not knowing where the next blow would land. The effects of this strategy were significant. Logistical challenges arose for the Germans as they struggled to keep their supply lines intact while facing an unpredictable enemy. The uncertainty added to the stress of Nazi soldiers and commanders, contributing to the overall decline in morale. In this complex game of war, the Allies showcased the importance of intelligence and cunning. They not only fought on the battlefield with new weapons, but also inside the minds of their opponents. This combination of physical and psychological strategies played a crucial role in altering the course of the war. The culmination of these tactics became evident in major battles like the Normandy invasion and the subsequent push into Nazi Germany. These operations showcased how the Allies had effectively combined new technologies and strategies to gain the upper hand. During the Normandy invasion, which took place on June 6, 1944, thousands of Allied troops stormed the beaches of France. The use of the RPG played a critical role here. As soldiers advanced, they faced heavy German defenses, but the RPGs allowed them to take out enemy tanks and fortifications. This capability enabled the Allies to break through German lines more effectively than anticipated. Alongside the RPG, strategic air support and artillery were instrumental. Allied planes bombed critical targets and provided cover for ground troops. This coordinated effort created chaos for the German forces, making it difficult for them to respond effectively. The combination of ground and air attacks encapsulated German troops, trapping them in precarious situations. As the Allies advanced deeper into Europe, they continued to use this mix of innovative weapons and tactics. It became clear that the RPG, though simple in design, was a powerful tool in their arsenal. It represented how advancements in weaponry, paired with smart military strategy, could shift the balance in warfare. These battles not only marked significant victories for the Allies, but also showcased the turning tide of the war. The lessons learned from these encounters would influence military tactics for years to come, proving that innovation and adaptability were key to success on the battlefield. By the end of World War II, the impact of advanced weaponry, including the rocket-propelled grenade RPG, was undeniable. It had played a critical role in eradicating many Nazi officers and their forces. The effectiveness of such weapons showed how far military technology had come and set new standards for future conflicts. The success of the Allies not only marked a significant victory in the war, but also transformed how warfare was perceived. Commanders and strategists recognized that technological advancements, when combined with careful planning and coordination, could lead to decisive outcomes on the battlefield. The Allies had proven that with the right tools, tactics, and intelligence, it was possible to overturn even the most entrenched militaries. As the war came to a close, the defeat of the Nazis in Europe signaled a dramatic shift in global power dynamics. The innovations and strategies developed during this time became important lessons for future military operations. The use of the RPG and other advanced arms demonstrated that even simpler technologies could have a substantial impact when used effectively. Moving forward, military leaders would study these tactics and apply them in different contexts, aware of the importance of adaptability and foresight. The legacy of the war would also encourage nations to invest more in research and development for future conflicts, further changing the landscape of warfare forever. The Allies' success against the Nazis became a testament to the power of innovation in shaping history.